Mortal Kombat 1 has had a rough year. Even though I love this game, and I know most of you watching enjoy the game too, we still must admit that 2024 was the worst Mortal Kombat year ever. Unless you count Mortal Kombat 3, but that was a long time ago. When it comes to recent memory, Mortal Kombat 1 definitely had the worst year ever. So today, let's cover the ups and downs of this game, where it went wrong, but also what I enjoyed. We gotta start off with Quan Chi's release. Even though it's slightly before 2024 started, by about 15 days or so, the damage it caused definitely carried over into next year, and also made lots of players very angry. In fact, many of you watching likely already know what I'm talking about, because it's burned into your memory how bad this release was. For whatever reason, Quan Chi's update to Mortal Kombat 1 completely broke the game's online features, causing tons of disconnects. The matchmaking was terrible too, and some players couldn't even play online at all. It was bad. I know some people get mad when I say this, but I sincerely believe that NetherRealm needs to hire new coders, because this kept happening in future updates, not to as extreme of an extent, but it was still happening with every character update. And even though I know that Mortal Kombat 1 was rushed, come on, no other fighting games have this issue. Their games don't completely break every time a DLC character gets added, so this madness needs to stop. I feel kind of bad for Quan Chi too, because his gameplay in Mortal Kombat 1 is actually very interesting, and players do some really creative stuff with him. But now he's forever associated with those 2 horrible weeks in Mortal Kombat 1 when the online was literally not working. However, a couple months later, we got Peacemaker. Oh Lord, the salt. This character was overpowered. Let's not pretend he wasn't. Whether you were a casual gamer or a sweaty online warrior, this character was easy to get wins with. He could make himself safe on everything, his combos did crazy damage, and nobody could zone him. Literally nobody. In other words, he was the perfect character. He could do everything well and had 0 weaknesses. Even if nobody considered him number 1 in the game, he was still very frustrating to fight for the reasons I just mentioned. It was practically impossible to punish him on anything, and this caused NetherRealm to make some big updates to the cameo system later on. But even so, months later at Combo Breaker, Peacemaker was busy upsetting everyone, and at high level, his gameplay was just not fun to watch. It was constant pokes, random torpedoes and teleports, followed by a cameo to keep him safe. Yeah, nobody liked watching this. It was the opposite of hype. Now fast forward to present day, and Peacemaker is bottom tier in this game, so it's almost like NetherRealm is punishing him for his sins. However, one great thing to happen in 2024 was Ermac. Not only did players love his character's gameplay, but his update also made a lot of changes that people enjoyed. In fact, this might have been the one time that MK Tom Brady was happy about a Mortal Kombat 1 update. Unless I have his videos mixed up, but I know at least one time Tom Brady was happy about an update in Mortal Kombat 1, and I think Ermac's was that balance patch. I could be wrong though, so whatever the case may be, the point is Ermac actually made players happy with Mortal Kombat 1 for a short bit. I remember the hate for this game being at an all-time low around this period. In fact, the only drama that Ermac ever caused was before his release, and it's because he wasn't wearing a mask in story mode and also his reveal trailer, so players worried he would not have a mask at all, but thankfully that was not the case, and so everybody was happy. Next up, we have Takeda, which was a strange situation because he didn't change the game's perception at all, really. His gameplay was fun enough, but nothing to get hype about. He was also pretty slow, and that made him hard to play at a high level, so despite being a fan favorite character from Mortal Kombat X, his release was much less exciting than you'd expect. Don't get me wrong, I still love playing this character every now and then, especially after his recent buffs, but overall, his impact on the game was very minor. And I find that bizarrely interesting because, again, he's a fan favorite character that had been missing ever since Mortal Kombat X, and yet his impact on Mortal Kombat 1 was very minor. Oh boy, but then we have Homelander, easily the most unfair character in the entire game, and there's no argument here. Nobody will debate this ever. His overheads, lows, and command grab were all unreactable, and each of them led to a full combo. And every combo ended with him right on top of you with crazy frame advantage, or in other words, it guaranteed another mix-up and more pressure. So when you fought Homelander, it was mix-up into combo and then guaranteed mix-up into another combo. But then then on top of that, his flying kick was plus on block and impossible to duck under, meaning he could do it over and over again. So as you can see, Homelander was very overpowered, which led to a hilarious Evo meme where 5 different players in top 8 were all using Homelander. Or at least they used him at one time during the tournament to win a match. So it's not quite as bad as Leroy in Tekken 7, but still it was pretty bad. Tons of people were playing Homelander, and that's because he was top tier, basically Peacemaker on steroids, which is why so many players were using him at the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. Now oddly enough, Homelander did not win the tournament. In fact, he wasn't even used in grand finals at all, so that's worth noting I suppose, but still Homelander was broken and overpowered. So just like in his own show, Homelander was an absolute menace in Mortal Kombat 1. Ferra was a rare positive for Mortal Kombat 1, even though most players would agree that she was too strong. Even so, she allowed low-tier characters to shine, which made pretty much everyone happy. For example, Scorpion was finally a great character, and even bottom tiers like Natara were finally a threat. Not to mention, the fact that Ferra returned to Mortal Kombat at all is nothing short of a miracle by itself, so I think that's why most players were okay with Ferra, even though she was definitely overpowered. Don't get me wrong, some people were salty because Ferra was nearly impossible to punish and had a 50-50 mix-up, which can be annoying, but thankfully the overhead was reactable, so it technically was not a true 50-50, even though both attack options were safe on block. And like every other character mentioned so far in this video, Ferra did get some fair nerfs to balance her out later on. Although to be honest, she is still a fantastic cameo character, definitely one of the best, up there with Chameleon. Finally, we have the last nail in the coffin, the Chaos Reigns DLC bundle. Cyrax and Sector were gender swapped into women at the request of no one, and the story mode was very lackluster. I wouldn't call it terrible because I've played way worse story modes in fighting games, but it was definitely the worst Mortal Kombat story so far, which left everyone feeling disappointed, including myself. Havoc as the main villain was a really interesting idea, and it made it seem like NetherRealm was going to do something really creative this time around. But instead, it seems like Havoc was chosen to be a monster of the week kind of villain. He shows up, causes some chaos, no pun intended, then gets defeated and immediately forgotten about. So like I said, he was a monster of the week instead of being an iconic villain like many of us were hoping for. It's been rumored that Story Mode Part 3 was planned, and that does explain why Chaos Reigns feels so incomplete. It was likely a stepping stone meant to set up the next story instead of being a solid story on its own. But no matter what the case may be, this lousy story DLC was the final nail in the coffin, along with the Sector and Cyrax drama. Like I said earlier, I don't consider Chaos Reigns to be the worst story ever, but I can understand why many people would feel that way. Now with that said, there was one good thing to come out of Chaos Reigns, and it was the massive balance patch. Major changes to existing characters, and mainly the cameo system. Some characters got brand new moves, or at least got tweaked in ways that made the cameo character way more useful, so overall, just way more balance was brought to the roster. For the main characters, lots of low tier characters got buffs, and many of the top tiers got some minor nerfs, so all in all, the balance update was actually something very great to come from the Chaos Reigns DLC, and it was free. And so were the new stages too, which I only mentioned because Tekken 8 had some controversy with one of their stages being paid and not included with the DLC bundle, which to me personally was not the biggest deal, but I think it's cool that in Mortal Kombat 1, all of the new stages were completely free. I find that neat. Even if you never bought the Chaos Reigns bundle, you still got the free balance patch and a bunch of new stages for free too, which is neat. To end this video on a positive note, Ghostface is nothing short of amazing. I agree with Super on this point. Everything about this character is fun and creative. He pairs well with a bunch of different cameo characters, and there's 4 different ways to play him too. You can go full grappler, or focus on rushdown, play keep away, or be a whiff punish monster instead. Ghostface is proof that any character can fit into a fighting game if done properly. I understand some people might not consider him a good fit and would have preferred someone else, and that's okay. I just think for me personally, he turned out way better than I ever expected, and that makes me happy. There's still 2 more characters coming to Mortal Kombat 1, and possibly some new cameo characters too that haven't been announced yet. The game is rumored to be cancelled, and honestly, I do think that scenario is most likely, but then I see Ed Moon teasing stuff on Blue Sky, and it makes me wonder if there is more content on the way after all. Until NetherRealm gives us an official statement, we're never gonna know for sure, and sadly, that statement is likely not coming for many months, so we're not going to have the answer for a very long time. All in all, like the title of this video says, 2024 was a very rough year for Mortal Kombat. Unless you count Mortal Kombat 3, this was the absolute worst year for Mortal Kombat. But even so, I do still love the gameplay in Mortal Kombat 1, and I'm happy we didn't get Mortal Kombat 11 2.0. So once again, I agree with Super on this one. Mortal Kombat 11 had far worse gameplay in my opinion. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you feel about Mortal Kombat 1, and tell me something cool that happened to you in 2024. As for me, that's about it for today's video, so thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it helps the channel out a ton, and then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.